In this video, traders, we're going to look at, should you invest in cannabis stocks? Stay tuned. Hey traders, warm welcome to you. So cannabis is all the rage at the moment. Well, stocks are anyway. They are going crazy, then they crashed a little bit, then they've gone mad, and they've there's loads of stuff going on. And the question generally is this: should you invest in these stocks? This is my opinion on it, and this is not advice. This is my thoughts on it just by watching as a casual observer. And as of this point in time, I don't have any positions in. That might change in the future, but hey, it is what it is. Right, so if you look at what cannabis has done generally, it's come on from nowhere, so to speak. There's been changes in legislation. We've had some countries have legalized it. Some countries are allowing it, decriminalizing it. Some countries are allowing it for medicinal use and this and that and the other. It's a bit of a mess, right? But what people are saying, or investors or people looking to make money, or companies as well, is that, hey, this is the start of something big. This is the start of a shift in government's approach to cannabis. We know that people are consuming it already. We know, or there's likely a medical use for it. So we want to capitalize on it. And this is what companies are doing. So companies are starting out. And of course, the general thing with all these kind of companies that start out is that they need to get to be number one first. That's always the big race, isn't it? Whenever you look at startups in a new market, and I know this is a massive market, but it's the race to get enough users and get enough traction before everyone else does. So we've got this situation where a lot of companies have sprouted up out of nowhere, and no pun intended, and they're doing all sorts of things. They're growing, a lot of growers. They're involved in different sides of it. But going back to your question of should you invest in it, the question comes around from an investing perspective of, will this company be more valuable X amount of years ahead than it is now? That's ultimately what you're looking for as an investment. Trading is a different question, right? Trading is a completely different topic. But from an investing perspective, you're looking at the valuation. You're saying, okay, this is valued at X. What do I believe it's going to be valued at? If that's higher than that, then it's a sound investment, potentially. Now, the problem you've got with these cannabis stocks, and just look at Tilray I've got up here. Tilray is one of the bubble ones, if you like, but they're all pretty similar. We'll put them some more in a moment. But bearing in mind, this has gone from 25 bucks or so up to 300 bucks. Yeah, it's sitting at $74 at the moment, but this is my market cap changing massively. The current market cap is about 7 billion as I speak. So, you say, well, when it was trading at 250, it's a stupid valuation. Now, I say stupid in inverted commas because could it be valued more in 10 years' time? May well be. If these guys get a massive jump on everyone else and the cannabis market is as big as people say it will be, then the valuation is going to be huge, okay? If it doesn't, the valuation is going to be small. But the question you have to ask yourself, and if we look at another one like Canopy Growth Corporation, same kind of thing. That's gone from very low, like under $10 up to $70. Not quite as explosive, but still, we're talking about hefty valuations now, 12 billion. And so, you've got to look at it objectively. You've got to say, okay, well, even if you think cannabis is a good trend and you think that there's genuinely going to be some companies that do well out of it, you still can't negate the fact that, hey, if it's valued at X, what is it going to be? Now, the rule of thumb is generally this: listen, if you're going to invest at a high valuation, be prepared for a big haircut and be prepared for pain before ultimately it happens. If you're investing at a lower valuation, generally the chances of success are lower, but you don't have to sit through pain because it's already low. And so people who got through cannabis at early days at $10 or whatever are probably quite comfortable. But if we're looking at it now, there's a premium on it. And the premium is that this thing is going to be massive, it's going to be huge, it's going to be the next biggest thing. And people on the fence and say, no, you should not invest in them because, hey, at number one, it's not legal yet, especially in the US. It's not getting traction yet. There's no proof that it's this, it's not that and the other. Yes, there's people doing stuff, but it's not there yet. That could still be the big spanner in the works that ruins everything. And there's the other thing of saying they're very overvalued. People are piling in almost like it's a bubble stock. They're piling in, they don't care about valuation, they just want to get involved in cannabis somehow. And that really, if you start to kind of not look at the investment market cap at all, that's really, really is a recipe for disaster. If you're not looking at the valuation, then you need to be prepared for it to kind of go down and halve. And if you are prepared to do that, why not wait and say, well, I'm prepared to miss the boat. I'll wait for it to kind of come down in valuation. Effectively, you're getting twice as much bang for your buck, right? If it goes back to the point you say it is, whatever you believe that will be, and you're getting half price, you are doubled your position size effectively, however you want to look at it. So a lot of people are saying that, hey, the valuations are excessive. There's nothing to back them up. Yes, there's a lot of investment coming in, but ultimately, they are overvalued. It could still be a good investment, but valuations are high. From the other side, you've got the argument of okay, the valuations may well be high, but look at a lot of companies that had high valuations and ultimately went on to be absolute beasts. Amazon is one, kind of Netflix is another. And so people are saying, well, you know, valuations don't mean anything in this kind of market because it's a premium based on where it's going to be. Now, I know that some people say, well, you could say that about everything, but the point is perhaps it's a good investment because you have lots of drinks companies coming in. You have lots of big money coming into cannabis, investing in it because they see it as the next big thing. They see it as a done deal that it's going to be legal. They see it as you don't have to consider the fact that everyone will be kind of drinking it and cannabis, and it will be much more deregulated, and there'll be a massive industry for it. So that's what people are kind of saying. Now, my viewpoint is this, is that I think, generally speaking, it's exciting trend to look at. I think that if we go the way we are, it's probably likely that it will be legalized in most countries, or at least, at least decriminalized, or at least kind of loosened up the laws. And I think that will draw a lot of investment. But I also think that you have to be very careful. I think there are some companies out there that are better than others. I think there's some, like the growing companies, may well get a foothold in, and if you get the right grower with the right money behind it and the right position, that could be the kind of big boy of the lot. So it's about picking the right company. So it's about picking the right company, and it's also about looking at the current valuation. And you might look at the current valuation and go, man, that's ridiculous, but you might not get it again. So perhaps a way to do it, guys, is to say, okay, you know what, I want to risk 20 grand in the cannabis industry. You pick a few stocks, and then you say to yourself, right, I'm going to go in 20 batches, a grand a time. I'm going to spread it over a 2-year period, say one a month. And then you do that. Then if you're overpaying early on, you're getting a discount as it goes along. If you're kind of, it doesn't go any lower, then at least then you're kind of in some and you can add to it. I don't have a crystal ball, no one does. We don't know if it's going to go higher or going to go lower as a general whole of the cannabis industry, but spreading that risk around means that, and saying, okay, well, I'm prepared to risk all of it. And that's the key, I think, as well, is that you'll have to be prepared to risk all of it and say, well, this is all or nothing thing. I'm going to spread the risk over a period of time. I'm going to go in tranches. I'm not going to be too concerned with the daily moves of it. And I'm going to say, I believe that in X amount of years time, and again, you have to have a thesis of sort of 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, and say, this may well be the company that is at the forefront of this and is making a lot of money. And so that's the thesis. Going to spread the risk. I'm going to be prepared to risk X amount of money and go in. I think that going in and just investing all in at one point at potentially a high valuation could mean you could sit with a kind of 80–90% loss. It still might work out over time, but it's not the most most powerful way to invest your money, on the most kind of prudent way, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in that comment section below, guys. Like I said, things are super interesting. There's loads of stuff going on. We've got Canopy Growth. You've got Tilray, we've got CGC. Again, I think this is another, CGC is Canopy Growth, but it's on a different exchange, right? What are the smaller ones we've got? Let's have a look at some of them. I've got some of them here for you. Emerald Health Therapeutics, Organigram Holdings. These are the smaller ones, and they are, they're related to the pharmaceutical industry, much less market cap, but of course higher risk. So that's again the kind of thing you've got to weigh up to go, well, do I spend more for my investment or do I not? I think the important thing is this: make sure you understand the valuation because a lot of people just think that's a great stock, I'm getting in, but if it's super expensive, it doesn't matter if it's a great stock. It could still decline over the next, you know, multiple years and still be a great company that's expanding and doing well and profitable and growing, but it just happens to be the valuation was excessively high at the moment because it's all frothy. So not necessarily saying that is the case, you should be very, very cautious of that. All right, guys, that is cannabis stocks. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and get your risk managed whatever you do. Take care. Bye-bye.